You don't get a vote in the matter. Not really. Your story begins not with a choice, but with a date on a calendar, a line on a map. You are born in Ohio in 1918. The Great War is ending, and the world is taking a brief, wheezing breath before its next grand suicidal gesture. Your father is a man whose hands are permanently stained with the grime of a factory floor, a cog in a machine that builds other machines. Your mother is a woman defined by the four walls of your small house, her life a repeating pattern of chores and quiet worries. Their destiny is to work, to endure, and to produce you another body for the future's insatiable appetite. You are not the scion of a noble house. You are the product of the industrial Midwest, destined for a life of predictable, honest labor. That is the plan. But history, that grand, drunken stage director, has other ideas for you. Your inherited fate isn't a family curse whispered down through generations. It's a modern, efficient, bureaucratic one. It's the simple, damning fact of being young, male, and American at the precise moment the world decides to ignite. But the mechanism of your specific doom arrives in a cardboard box. Your father, in a fit of uncharacteristic optimism, buys a Kodak Brownie, a simple device for capturing birthdays and holidays. But while your family sees smiling faces, you see something else. You are captivated by the mechanics of it. The click of the shutter, the magic of the aperture controlling the light, the delicate mystery of the film spooling in the dark. You take it apart and put it back together. It's a puzzle, a mechanism of glass and metal. This casual curiosity, this technical knack, is the small, seemingly innocent detail upon which your entire miserable future will pivot. It's the little hook that the great, grasping hand of the military will use to pluck you from obscurity and drop you squarely into hell. The end of your childhood begins at age 23, with the arrival of a letter from the United States government. It's a form letter utterly devoid of personality, which is fitting, as its purpose is to strip you of yours. You are not sent to a muddy boot camp to be forged into a standard-issue grunt. You are sent somewhere far more absurd. You are sent to Astoria, Queens, to a sprawling film studio that once churned out melodramas and gangster flicks. Now it is the Signal Corps Photographic Center, a place where the art of illusion is being retooled for the grim business of mass-produced reality. They don't have the time or the inclination to make you a soldier. They are going to make you something far stranger, a technician of death, an archivist of agony. The methodology here isn't about brute force. It's about a meticulous, psychological recalibration. The brutality is in the repetition. First, there is the camera. The Bell & Howell IMO, a 35-pound block of steel and glass, becomes a permanent extension of your body. You learn to disassemble and reassemble it blindfolded, your fingers raw, until you can feel every gear and screw in your sleep. Then they make you run. You run obstacle courses carrying the camera, the tripod, and a full pack. It is a calculated lesson in exhaustion, teaching you that the equipment is more important than your own aching lungs, that dropping the camera is a greater sin than falling yourself. You are taught to fire a .45 pistol, a laughably inadequate tool for personal defense. It's to reinforce your place in the food chain. You are not here to fight, you are here to watch. The moment of failure comes during a live fire simulation. A dummy charge goes off closer than expected. You flinch, and the IMO slips from your grasp, thudding into the dirt. The punishment is not physical. It is a cold, quiet speech from a director-turned-officer, his face a mask of disappointment. He speaks of duty, of the historical record. And then, the final, chilling threat. Maybe you're not cut out for this. The infantry can always use another rifle. In that moment, you understand. You will never drop the camera again. This is all part of the rewiring. They are scientifically stripping away the instincts that keep a man alive. Every natural impulse, to duck, to run, to hide, must be unlearned and replaced with a single, overriding directive. Get the shot. They sit you in darkened rooms and project hours of footage, explosions, and carnage, a relentless desensitization program designed to drain the horror out of the images, leaving only technical considerations of framing and focus. Your empathy is a liability. Your fear is an unprofessional indulgence. Your name, your history, your very sense of self, it's all being systematically eroded, replaced by a function. You are no longer a man from Ohio. You are becoming an I. Of course, there's the gilded lie they sell you, the story they tell the folks back home. You are a warrior of the light, a brave historian with a camera, a crucial part of the great crusade for freedom. You are one of Capra's boys, documenting heroism for a grateful nation. A beautiful, inspiring myth. Now, let's juxtapose that with the biological hell of your actual existence. You are, first and foremost, a beast of burden. But unlike a mule, you are acutely aware of the stench. The uniform you wears a living colony of filth, stiff with dried sweat and mud, a teeming metropolis for lice who have become your most intimate and loyal companions. A hot shower is a fantasy more remote than peace itself. Then there's the food. You are fueled by the culinary abominations of sea rations. Cold, greasy hash scooped from a can with a dirty spoon. Biscuits that could be used as ballistic weapons. And spam. Endless, unholy variations of spam. You drink coffee that tastes of boiled earth and despair. This diet wreaks havoc on your insides, and dysentery becomes a simple, unavoidable fact of life. You learn to measure time and bowel movements. And your health? Every scrape and cut is an open invitation to infection. You live in a state of perpetual, damp cold, and your feet, often submerged in mud-filled foxholes for hours on end, begin to rot inside your boots. Your primary tool, the whirring camera, is not a weapon of light. It's a dinner bell for enemy snipers, a distinct mechanical sound that screams, "Here I am." An important target with no real way to defend himself. The myth is for them. The vile reality is all yours. There comes a moment, however, when you fulfill the myth. When, for a few terrifying minutes, you become the legend. The setup is the stuff of nightmares. It is the 6th of June, 1944. You are on a heaving, nauseating Higgins boat, surrounded by boys with green faces and white knuckles. The location is the English Channel, a slate-gray expanse of choppy water. Your destination is a stretch of French coastline that will forever be known as Omaha Beach. The stakes for the world are the liberation of a continent. The stakes for you are infinitely simpler and more complex. Get the film, survive the next 5 minutes, and do not let your terror ruin the exposure. The ramp drops, and the world as you know it ends, replaced by a symphony of pure, concentrated violence. It is an overwhelming wall of sound, the shriek of incoming artillery, the relentless, stuttering drumbeat of machine gun fire, the screams of men. Your training takes over. Your consciousness narrows, collapsing into the tiny frame of the viewfinder. You are no longer a man on a boat. You are an aperture, a lens. You wade into the surf, the water shockingly cold, and your only thought is to hold the 35-pound IMO above the waves. You see men disintegrate before your eyes. You see the water around you blossom with crimson flowers. But your brain isn't processing the human cost. It is a cool, detached calculator, assessing light levels, adjusting focus, keeping the horizon as steady as possible while the world shakes itself apart. This is the execution of your craft. You move through the carnage, a ghost in the machine, your finger not on a trigger, but on the button that makes the camera whir. You find cover behind a steel hedgehog, the sand around you erupting from near misses, and you keep filming. You capture the blurred, frantic, impossible horror of it all. You are a machine built for this single, terrible purpose. The immediate aftermath is a blur of adrenaline and disbelief. Some of your film, damaged by a frantic darkroom technician in London, will become legendary for its surreal, ghostly quality. They will be called the Magnificent 11. Your name will be whispered in the halls of power. Your reputation as a combat cameraman is cemented in those few frames of celluloid. You have captured the face of war, but you don't feel like a legend. You just feel the phantom weight of the camera in your arms and see the faces of the boys who became ghosts on that beach. But peaks are, by their nature, fleeting. After the terror and the brief, hollow glory comes the long, grinding reality of your role. The daily grind is a masterpiece of monotony. It's an endless series of anticlimaxes. Your assignment, day after day, is to go find pictures. You are given a jeep, a driver, and a vague direction. So you drive through the skeletal remains of French towns. You film the logistics, the endless convoys of trucks, the mountains of supplies, the things that keep the war machine fed, but make for crushingly dull footage. You film the faces of refugees, their eyes hollowed out by loss. You filmed soldiers in moments of quiet, cleaning their rifles, writing letters, their boredom a tangible, heavy presence. For every minute of usable footage that makes it to the newsreels, you have shot hours of mud, rubble, and waiting. This routine is performed from within a strange social cage. The very men whose heroism you're meant to document look at you with open contempt. You are a rear echelon motherfucker until you're at the front, and then you're something worse, a tourist, a ghoul. You carry no rifle, you take no ground. You are a professional observer of other men's suffering. A sergeant, watching you film his exhausted platoon, once spat at your feet and said, "Make sure you get our good side for the papers." It's a constant reminder that you are not one of them. You are a tool of the brass of the propaganda machine. Society needs your images, but it despises your proximity to the truth of how those images are made. You are simultaneously essential and expendable, a necessary vulture at the feast of war. There is a law, an unwritten one, that reinforces your status. In a firefight, no one is tasked with protecting the cameraman. Your survival is entirely your own responsibility. There is always a breaking point, a moment when the carefully constructed dam of professional detachment finally cracks. It doesn't happen in a moment of grand, explosive drama. It happens on a quiet, frozen afternoon during the Battle of the Bulge. The precipice is a routine assignment, filming a rifle company digging in, holding a vital crossroads against the German advance. The air is so cold it hurts to breathe. You're filming a replacement, a kid from Brooklyn who can't be more than 19. He's talking, filling the nervous silence, telling you about his girl, showing you a picture. You frame the shot perfectly, a tight close-up on his chapped lips and hopeful eyes, the embodiment of American innocence in the face of horror. That's when the fatal error occurs. Not your error, but the universe is a high, thin whistle. You hear it an instant before the impact. A German mortar round. There is no dramatic explosion like in the movies. Just a sudden, violent crump, and the kid from Brooklyn ceases to exist. He is replaced by a spray of red on the white snow. And this is the moment. You do not duck. You do not cry out. You hold the shot. You pan down slightly to capture the tattered remains of the letter he was holding as it flutters to the ground. The camera continues to whir its cold, mechanical sound and obscenity in the sudden, ringing silence. The point of no return is the instant you lower the camera. The sound stops. And a thought, clear and cold and horrifying, surfaces in your mind. That was a good shot. You didn't see a boy die. You saw a powerful image. You saw good composition. And in that sickening moment of self-awareness, you realize the psychological rewiring is complete. The machine has won. The man you were is gone. And this thing is what's left. The war eventually ends for the world, but not for you. The internal erosion begins. The haunting is relentless. You've brought the war home with you, not in your luggage, but behind your eyes. Your mind has become a private cinema, playing a festival of horror on a permanent loop. The kid from Brooklyn dying in the snow. The waves washing over the dead on Omaha Beach. The skeletal, walking ghosts you filmed at a liberated Dachau. An experience so profoundly vile it felt like your camera was stealing the last vestiges of their souls. These images are your constant companions. You are at a family barbecue, and the pop of a champagne cork sends you diving to the ground, your heart hammering against your ribs. You are a ghost at the victory parade. You quickly find an anesthetic of choice, the warm, amber blur of whiskey. It doesn't erase the memories, but it smudges them, softens their razor-sharp edges just enough to let you function. A glass becomes a bottle. The nightmares still come, but now you can sometimes drink your way through them until morning. Your wife, if you were foolish enough to marry, begs you to stop. She's tired of waking up to you screaming. You get a job, maybe at a local newspaper, but it's a parody of your former life. You're asked to photograph the winner of a pie-eating contest, and all you can see are the starving faces from the camps. The addiction to the bottle is just a symptom. The real disease is memory. The alcohol is a slow, methodical suicide, a way to dismantle the screening room in your head, one drink at a time. Your end is not cinematic. There is no final blaze of glory, no dramatic confrontation. The setting for your final fade out is a hospital room, painted in a depressing shade of beige, smelling of disinfectant and quiet desperation. It is 1965. The world is worrying about a new war in a new jungle. But your war, the old one, is the only one that ever mattered. The inglorious cause of your death is listed on a chart as cirrhosis of the liver, a technical term for a 20-year campaign of drinking yourself to death. The man who faced down machine gun nests and artillery barrages is ultimately felled by his own hand, by a quiet, liquid poison. Your final moments are devoid of drama. You lie on the starched sheets, staring at water stains on the ceiling tiles that momentarily coalesce into the shapes of clouds over Normandy. There is no reel of your greatest hits. There are no fond farewells. There is only the low, steady hum of an air conditioning unit, a sound that, to your fading consciousness, sounds remarkably like a camera still rolling. Then, the film runs out. Directly after your unceremonious death, you are largely forgotten. A short obituary notes your passing. A veteran, it calls you. It might mention you were a photographer. A few old friends from the service sigh and move on. Your raw footage, miles of it, sits in temperature-controlled government vaults, cataloged and silent. But then, time begins its myth-making. Decades pass. The world develops an appetite for nostalgia. Historians and documentarians, looking for the real story of the war, find your archives. And here, the ultimate, most painful irony unfolds. Your footage, born of your terror, your trauma, your complete moral and physical exhaustion, is exhumed. It is cleaned up, stabilized, colorized. Your shaky, terrified images of the Normandy landings are set to soaring, triumphant orchestral scores. The death of the kid from Brooklyn is now used as a poignant, slow-motion grace note in a documentary about the greatest generation, his senseless end given a false nobility it never possessed. Your work, which documented the chaotic, filthy, and morally bankrupt reality of war, becomes the primary visual evidence for the grand, heroic lie. The final statement is this: you dedicated your life, and ultimately gave up your soul to capture the truth. And your legacy is to have that truth manipulated into a beautiful, comforting, and utterly fraudulent story. You were a witness to hell, but you are remembered as an architect of the myth. The life you lived was erased, replaced by the story they preferred to tell.